So the new pedals from VRS. I think it's about time we did an update. Let's get on with it. Alright, let's get out on track and I'll talk you through how we're getting on with the pedals. So, I mean, they're still on the rig, so clearly that's a good sign. Definitely found myself getting much more bedded into them from where I was a few weeks back. Still absolutely loving them. So we're back in Imola. I'll do a couple of laps for you now and just talk you through what I found with the pedals, how they perform, and then we'll have a look at some lap times again. I'll do a couple of race runs and we'll revisit the lap times and see where we are. Maybe look at a bit of the data on VRS and just see what's going on. So I've done a few league races, quite high level, and I'm fairly sure I'm around about a tenth and a half quicker than I was on the sprints. Now I've got, what makes me say this is I've got a teammate who's very quick and is very reliable, and we've always been around about the same pace. But honest truth, ever since I popped the pedals on, I've just had that little bit more pace over a flying lap on him. Now I think in the races, and I did say this when I put them on straight away, I thought they were going to be more consistent, and I still believe that to this day. That in the races, got a lot more consistency under the braking, and probably also a little bit with the throttle. Now, I don't know why that is, but it is there. I think it's, with the braking, there's just so much more feeling in these pedals. You can really lay the car right on the edge of lockups, and you can minimise those micro lockups. They're the ones that shoot the heat into the tyres and cause you to lose grip. And I think there's a lot less of that going on in a race. Even when I do lock up the wheels, I'm able to get them back unlocked sometimes with the pedal. A lot more than I would be with the sprints. I think with those it was a case of, you know how it is, once you lock a wheel, especially in a cup car, it can be game over. I'm finding with these pedals, I'm definitely starting to get away with a lot more mistakes that would have normally been race over or going off track and losing a lot of time. So where am I mean, is there anything glaring out at me? Is it high speed corners, low speed corners? I think for me it's the braking into those low speed corners, that really controlled braking down to low speed, trying to keep the car straight. That's where I'm feeling a bit of an advantage with these pedals, and it's not a lot at all, but it is there. And what I've said before is, as a driver, if you've got confidence in your equipment, you're going to push harder. If you're going into a corner and you're thinking in the back of your mind, I've got to be careful, I might lock up going into here, you're not going to push to the limit. If you start to gain confidence in your equipment and gain confidence in yourself, you're going to be quicker. Now I got roasted for that on Reddit. It's clearly someone who doesn't know how racing drivers operate. But I'll tell you now, confidence in your equipment is a big thing. So, reliability wise, absolutely they have been faultless. Haven't had a single drama with the pedals. I haven't so much as looked at them, to be honest. I've messed around with the settings a little bit, and I'll pop, especially with a tie bar that's on the top of the pedal, on the brake pedal, I'll pop my measurements on there. Might just give you a starting point. Honestly, I haven't done too much. I had to play with it. I got it somewhere and I thought, oh, this is nice, and I left it, and I've just taken the time to get used to them more than anything. I've got the throttle pedal on full stiff. If I was going to be a little picky, I'd say it's still a little bit soft for me. I can wind the preload string up on the throttle pedal if I wanted to, but I honestly haven't done that yet either. I've just concentrated on rattling the laps off, getting used to the pedals, rather than continually messing around and moving my goalpost. Other than that, they've been perfect. I did notice yesterday when I took my headset off, I've developed a tiny little squeak on the brake pedal. There's nothing to write home about. It's quite normal. So I think that is it. If I had to be really picky, that's the only problem I've had. The clutch, for the clutch start. So what I've done, I've set a button up on the wheel for 100% clutch, and then I changed the INI file in iRacing to get like a 39% clutch pedal on the actual clutch pedal. So I've been doing race starts like that. It's not the greatest. I definitely haven't got the advantage of race starts I had with the sprints. So I was able to really dial the clutch pedal into the car. I definitely haven't got that advantage anymore on the start line, but it's still pretty quick. If I get the jump on the lights, I can still beat most people away from the line. Just what I do notice now is I'm spinning the wheels a lot more off the line. And again, I could tune the INI file a bit more. It's only a case of inputting some numbers. I'm just being lazy, to be honest. I've set it and I've left it, and I'm just driving around it. Other than that, they are spot on. Right, so enough talking. Let's bang a hot lap in. I'll try to, and then I'll do some race runs. We'll jump out. We're going to have a look at the data and see what's going on. Oops. A little slow at our last corner, but the rest weren't too bad. There we go. So lost a couple of tenths, but no drama. Right, let's go have a look at this data. I'll run some race laps, and then we'll see how they compare to a few weeks back when I first put them on the rig. So there we go. There's the adjustment I've made for the tyre rod. You can see there it's around about 42 mil. And that should see you good. So also with the
the spacers, so you can see there on the spacers what I've done for the brake pedal as well. Hopefully that'll give you an idea. So 42mm on the rod, and the 2 little spacers and 1 big one for the push rod for the preload on the spring. That's where I'm at. Red spring in. Nothing else has changed. Only they've got a bit dirtier since the last time we saw them. Throttle spring still looks the same as it is. It still works fine. I've had no dramas with it whatsoever.
Okay, so we've got some data up here. So I've gone back and I've grabbed the lap from the sprints that I used in the last video. So the fastest lap by the sprints. It's the same setup, same temperatures, same track conditions. Everything's the same. So really good comparison here. So that was a 145, 118 fastest lap, and then we've gone today. I've done a 144.972 with a VRS. So not too much difference. But I have a look through the data, and remember I said to you as I was driving around earlier that I think most of my time has come from the hard braking into slower corners. That's where I'm feeling much more confident on the brake pedal. Also getting out the corner with a throttle, but for me, what I'm feeling is the brakes. Just added confidence, and I think it's showing up here. So if we'll start off, we'll have a look at turn 7, which is the hairpin at Imola. And interestingly enough, I've changed my line as over the last few weeks, and there's 2 lines into the hairpin at Imola. You can either take the very wide outside line, or what is the fast line is the very shallow entry. So it's more of a straighter entry, a late apex, and you carry a lot more speed in. Now I couldn't do that shallower entry with the sprints. Just always found I was nearly spinning the car, or spinning the car in the middle of the corner, or just making a mess of it. So I tended to favour the outside line. I'd figured out how to do that quite well, and most of my time was made up on getting out of the corner, getting on the power nice and early. So you can see now I've changed my line with the VRS, and I think that's down to just having more confidence on the brake pedal going in. And if we look at the brake markers, you can see obviously with the line change I can brake a bit later, so it's 1574 with the sprints and 1578 with the VRS. So it's only 4 meters difference, but it makes a lot of difference to the time and the speed you're carrying in. Now, if we look at the speed, you can see the VRS, the blue, are carrying a lot more speed going into that corner, and around about here, if you look at it, so it's nearly 114 kilometers by 107. So nearly 7 kilometers an hour difference going in to the corner, and the VRS are faster. And you can see from the timeline below, that's where they're making all that time up. You see the way it whooshes up. Now, if you go into a corner fast, obviously you're going to struggle getting out of it. Every action has equal opposite reaction. The faster you go in, the slower you'll come out. So we're trying to find a balance. But obviously I was very quick getting out the corner with the sprints, and that shows here as well. So I've beaten the sprints on the way into the corner, but they have just got me back going out. So you can see from the timeline, we do just lose a little bit on the way out. And it was a 7 kilometer an hour difference going in. Coming out, it's down to, what should we say, is that 4 kilometers, maybe just over 4 kilometers. It's not too bad. It's not too shabby at all. And you can see from the brake lines, the brake trace, sorry, a lot more confidence to go up to peak pressure, which is what I was saying. I feel a lot more in control under braking, and a lot happier to really stretch that braking out and come out of it nice and smooth. And I'm carrying a lot more pressure in the middle of the corner, which I didn't ever like doing with the sprints. I just didn't feel I had that clarity to know where I was with the braking. So it's showing on the data. Obviously, getting on the power still needs some work there, because the first 50% in the cup car should be like a switch, should be on and off. So we've still got some dramas there I need to sort out at another time. Anyway, let's go over to the chicane, because again, another quite heavy braking into a very slow corner. And another one where I felt, especially driving this time, I felt I just making leaps and bounds on the braking. I've always felt I was very weak on the braking into there at previous races I've done. It's always been a point where people have attacked me, and I've just never felt confident on the brakes into there. And it happened again here, the same. So we'll start with the brake marker points. So we're at 3199 to 3202. So 3 meters later, tiny margins, but as we're braking as well, we're a lot slower up to threshold, and very similar peak threshold figures, so 77.5 to 78.2, so only a few percent difference, but carrying a lot more speed into the corner. So if we look up the top here, speed difference going in, let's look around about there, is 9 kilometers. Let's say 9 kilometers an hour. So I'm carrying 9 kilometers an hour all the way in, and I'm carrying that speed all the way to the second apex. So I'm beating the sprints from the moment I hit the brakes all the way to the second apex, which is pretty exciting. Now, and again, when you go in fast, you come out slow. So the sprints do gain some time back on the way out. So you can see here from the timeline, all the way to the second apex, we're gaining, and then as we start to come out, the sprints start to just claw a few hundredths back. But impressive nonetheless. We've gained nearly 1.5 tenths through that corner, 0.144 through that corner. Really good game. So again, it's all on the braking. Still got some work to do on the throttle. This is mostly where those bumps are, because you go over the second chicane and the car's bouncing, so you just have to wait and be patient. But that's looking really good for the brakes. So I think that's where we are at the moment. Right, on to the next bit. Okay, so to summarise, pedals have been fantastic. I haven't got any misgivings about them. I don't think so. None at all whatsoever. Absolutely loving them. They have been plug and play, install and forget. I haven't so much as looked at them. So I did make a few little adjustments. Had a bit of a play around with the tie rod on top of the brake pedal. I'm going to drop a link down below to the VRS. VRS actually have released a film talking through all the settings on the pedal and how to adjust them. So I'll drop a link down that in my comments below. So you can go and have a look at that to see how and what these adjustments do on the pedals. Throttle pedal, I still think is a little tiny bit undersprung. I can, as I said, I can turn up the preload on the spring if I wanted to. I've just been too lazy to do that. It's perfectly fine, and I'm getting on very well with it. I'm just being uber picky. The build quality, absolutely spot on. Pretty much same as the DFP. There's just no drama. Not had an issue. I will say that I have noticed a tiny little squeak coming from the brake pedal, but it's nothing to write home about at all. It's probably coming from the back or the spring, so maybe just a tiny little bit of lubricant of some sort on there will shut that up, but it doesn't even bother me. I can't hear it with my headphones on. So software, in terms of software, haven't heard any more about it coming out. I do hope it does, but to be fair, I don't miss it. The only thing I'm missing is the clutch pedal, although I'm getting on fine with the clutch pedal as it is, just using the changes in the ini file. I would like to just be able to fine tune it for a race start right before a race, so I can be back up to my fast starts. But it's not the end of the world. I can cope with it. Other than that, I think they're a great product. Now, exciting news. If you look over my shoulder, you should be able to see there's 2 sets of pedals there. So we are doing some reviews of other pedals coming up in the next few days. So keep an eye on the channel. Thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing, please give us a like and subscribe, and I'll pop some other videos somewhere on the screen that you might enjoy. Thanks again. See you soon.